Today's episode of Up the Road is sponsored by Buck the Barber and Just Us Cuts in collaboration with Downtown Barbers. If you're trying to get fly, make the appointment with the right guys. 863-623-6615.
On another bus ride, going back to prison. I've been thugging since a youngin' in and out the system. Yeah, my mama tried to warn me, but I didn't listen. Head up, 10 down, that's just how I'm living. On another bus ride, going back to prison. I've been thugging since a youngin' in and out the system. Yeah, my mama tried to warn me, but I didn't listen. Head up, 10 down, that's just how I'm living.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right, my name is Paul Trotter. Been around Okeechobee for about 20 years now. Everybody used to know me as the local pest control guy. August 23rd, 2016, my house got raided. A lot of people in the community found out that I was a different person. I ended up getting charges for manufacturing cannabis resin, hash, basically, if you want to put it a simple way, selling a selling pot, shit like that. It was what it was. I spent the next 3 years of some sort in some form of incarceration. Most of it was a pretty negative environment. And there wasn't really a whole lot of opportunity to get in a better direction while you're in there. I don't really, that would be one of the things that I would really like to touch on a lot today, is that when you go to prison, there's really nothing there for you to get going in a better direction.
All right, so let's back it up a little bit now. That's is this the first time you get in trouble?
The first and only time.
Okay, how old are you when this happened?
I was 36 years old.
So you went all this time without being in trouble?
Never been in, I'd been, in the streets doing my thing, I'd be what, kind of like a modern hippie. I think you'd say that's a pretty good description of what I was doing.
Okay. So can you explain the night of your arrest? Walk us through that.
It was probably 4 o'clock or so, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. My longtime girlfriend, wifey, whatever you wanted to call her, of about 12 years at the time, I'd just gotten home from work. I'd been around the house with the kid most of the day. I left to go run some errands, pick up some dinner, drop off something, life of a hustler. And as soon as I left the house, I noticed some odd things, You see cars off a few streets over, trailing with you. And, first thing I'm like, wow, there's like 6 cars swimming around. So I'm driving, they're not looking to pull me over, so I'm like deleting and locking shit on my phone, doing things, trying to get myself right. So they're not pulling me over. So I've drove all through the northwest side of Okeechobee, cut back over to the southwest side. Like, I've been driving around for like 10, 15 minutes and they're all just staying way off on me. So I just head back to my house. So I already know what time it is. As soon as I pull in the house, they got vest on, tactical, they're ready for like a firefight. And I'm just like, hey man, y'all ain't got no problem here. Heard what happened at your house. You know what I'm saying? There's always that fear of, being a victim in a weird situation.
So in your mind though, when you didn't, because this is the first time you deal with a raid?
Yeah, but I knew what to expect,
So what's going through your mind though?
The most important thing for me is, I've got my girl at the time and my kid in the house, and I don't want anything crazy happening at that point. So they basically cuff me, knock on the door, she answers the door. I tell her, make sure the dogs are put out. And she knew what time it was. And they then sat me in the front chair in my living room and went through my house and talked to, and went through my house for the next 6 hours.
Yeah, 6 hours. All right, so take us to your trip now. We get into the county. What's going through your mind? Did you bond out? Did you stay there till your trial? Did you have a trial?
Interesting part about it, okay? They couldn't really get anybody that I really messed with in the streets to like come and make a buy from me or anything, which is what they needed to come to my house. So they ended up getting a lady that my mom knew to buy something from my mom. So they didn't necessarily have me on a charge to get into my house, but they had my mom on a charge. So they tried to make her a co-defendant. So my mother and me were both arrested simultaneously. Okay, so by the time that I was in jail, she was getting into jail. So when my mom got bonded out first. And then I got bonded out. And then they hit me with 4 more charges that they already had from before I actually got arrested. They didn't revoke my bond. They just brought me back in on 4 more charges, and I couldn't afford a bond at that point. At one point, I think it was $350,000 in bond.
What all did they find during the raid?
They found a couple pounds. I'm not sure the exact weight right now, like maybe 2.5 pounds of flour. But what they were really upset about was there was a lot of wax, and a lot of it was prepackaged, the hot stuff that was going around at the time. I also, I was a hippie. I was in there creating and doing some weird stuff at times. One of the things people don't realize is a lot of the stuff that you go and buy in the shops now is basically, THC butane candy. And if you know how to do confectionery stuff and a little bit of here and there, you get into some really stupid shit to get into. Like real shit. Like it's legal now, get your degree, go work for somebody, make a lot of money, but don't do that shit. They're gonna charge you like you're making meth. It's a real bad look.
So, did you plea out? Did you take it to trial?
Well, when I was in county, I was really going to take it to trial because they really didn't have me on the sale charges. They really had my mom. And about 2 months into me being in, my mom actually passed away. So that changed. They were going to play me and basically, well, if you go to trial, we're going to take your mom. If you go, they hadn't got there yet, but that's where it was going. They were going to use that as a bargaining chip, and obviously, anybody's going to, in that situation, eat one and make sure mom stays on. Ain't nobody stupid. But that wasn't the situation. So then, shortly after my mom passed away, they hit me with a F1, a level 1 felony. It was like a level 9. It was like 72 points, which is like a lot. So basically, they charged me with something that was basically like manufacturing methamphetamines, and it was looking at substantial jail time. They came at me, they're saying 20 years, which was a joke. Their first realistic offer was 5 years in and 5 years out. Lawyer this, lawyer that. 4 years out, and then they came to me with 36, and I tried to fight that and then just ate it. So I took 36 months plea deal, got rid of some of the duplication of charges, but there's still quite a bit of double jeopardy involved in there on the way the charges are stacked.
Okay, so when we leave county, where do we go?
Orlando Reception Center. That's after 10 months in county. But went there, that's a shock. Being in that cage for the first time, That's the shock to your senses, and they always pick out, somebody, they're slapping around some guy who's in there like literally a cancer patient with a pacemaker in his chest. They're slapping him around to make everybody else just like shock. It was shock and awe. But I also knew what to expect. Some people who actually did show me some love did give me, some advice on the way things were going to go.
All right, so when you get to prison, are you affiliated to anything, or are you hanging out as a neutron?
No, I'm definitely like a neutron. For me, you get into what a white gang is in the prison system in the state of Florida. None of my beliefs as a person in any way, shape, or form can coexist with that. So I was definitely always going to be a neutron.
Okay, so when we get to Orlando Reception Center, how long was it before you seen any action? You said they were smacking people with the...
Instantly. Like, as soon as you got, they're getting rough with people when they're buzzing their heads. Officers right off rip. Action between inmates, first instantly in the dorm. Like, it was petty. They got, JIT warriors in there. They're all 18, 19, 20, trying to prove something. Us old heads, we were hanging out on our bunks, relaxing, trying to make it through our day.
So did you have any problems when you hit the reception center?
I didn't really have any issues at the reception center. The first problem, the problems you have are trying to get hygiene and trying to get in contact with your people. Think about it. If you're at a reception center and you don't have anything, there's nothing for somebody to come at you for. And if you're not going after anything, then you're not going to have any issues. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have money on your land yet and you don't have hygiene yet, what are people going to come at you for? There's a month of transition. Now, some people are better prepared, or, they come in and they got their people there, and, but the blessings also bring people problems. That was most of what you saw. If somebody come in, they'd get their first bag, they'd have been there for about a month, and, they'd be somebody's victim.
So when we get to Orlando, I know this is your first time in trouble, but did you see anybody that you knew from back home?
I rode up in the bus, from out here in Okeechobee with a guy who was in the dorm with me. Everybody called him Cheeseburger. Weird guy, but good guy. And I saw a few people that I'd known from county, a couple people here and there. But, nobody I wanted to see, nobody I was, was looking to click up with. But I wasn't planning to do any of that, really. I was just,
Just trying to go in there.
Hit the rec yard, try to get haircuts, and fucking figure out where it was going to go.
How long before they shipped you out of the reception center?
I think it was maybe a month, and I got sent all the way to the Panhandle. So I was kind of bouncing through every single reception center. What is it, Ocala, whatever the medical one is. I can't remember the name of it. It's a shit fest.
It's a shit fest.
Then the Northwest Reception Center, that had air conditioning. That was pretty straight for about 2 weeks, I'm not gonna lie. And that's, also where, I was able to get stuff going. The first thing you gotta get is hygiene. Everybody knows that, Most important purchase I ever made was a big speed stick Avalanche. Lasted me about 6 months, because everything else is Dollar Tree stuff.
Okay, so when we get to our main campus, walking into that dorm, that cell.
That's when you really get to prison, for real. In your mind, if you're smart, you go right to prison as soon as you hit jail. Okay, but the realities of prison and what really happens and the way you have to live happen as soon as you get to your real camp. That's when all shit hits the fan. That's when people are living. That's when you're with people who have or may never go home, got 15 years. They're in there. They got hustles. They're going to be there. They got shit going on. and people getting in their way or people competing with them, it's just a violent world. It's a very, very violent world. Being a hustler in the streets, the initial thing is I'm gonna be a hustler in prison. And then you kind of see the way it goes, and I'm seeing dudes who are like tougher than me, like thinking they're somebody, and like they're getting everything taken. And they're giving it up, and I can't see myself giving it up, so I'm like, damn, I have to get fucked up, fucking make a couple dollars. So you learn how to live. You learn how to live within your means. You also learn how to live, live around the right people and in the right situations. People in there who are looking to get high, like, that's prey. That's prey for everybody in the chain gang. Like, it really is. And people don't realize it, but people go in there and, they think they're trying to get through some time. And just trying to, in there, somebody trying to get a joint and to see the amount of people that'll show up on their bunk should really teach people about the way people live.
When you first get to the, tell us your interaction with your bunkie. Did you have a bunkie when you first got in?
The bunkie I was in there with, the first couple weeks, he was a young kid. He was pretty straight. I think he was a Zoe, but he was a young kid. He was pretty good natured. Me and him got along pretty good. We vibed. He respected that I was a little bit older. I respected that he was a little younger, and he was a good dude. No issues at all. He had a little, I had a little, and we were respectful, and his guests were respectful, and that takes a lot. That's where issues happen, but he was good about that. So.
Okay, so when we get over here, tell us about like our daily routines, what we doing.
They put me in a camp, Century, which is kind of like, it's an older camp. It's like right up there, nestled in to Alabama. So there's just not a lot going on. I got sent up there for a program called Modality. It's like a therapeutic residential drug treatment program. I think the state gets like $30,000 for signing you up for it. So I was told I was going there, so basically that meant that I had no chance of work camp. That meant I had no chance of work release, which was my goal, obviously. So about 3 or 4 days after being there, we got job assignment. I got the Modality job assignment and got told I'd be sent over there in the next 2 weeks. The next day, there was a stabbing on our compound, so we got locked down. And this is a camp that I didn't understand then, but it was a stabber camp. So every time they got off lockdown, somebody'd stab each other and they'd get put back on lockdown. So I get called out. I think I'm going to Modality. I get sent to the work camp. So that's when, like, I got to see kind of like the chain gang, like the light, soft chain gang. Because it was like, when I walked into the dorm in work camp, keep in mind there's 64 inmates in there. Walking through, brand new people, officers at the doors. I'm walking through, and there's literally, like, as you pass bunk, cell phone, guy smoking. Guy getting high, cell phone, guy tweaking, guy passed out. Like, everybody was like hanging out. Craziest thing I'd ever seen in my life. Like, there was in the dorm, by the time I figured out what was really going on in there about a month later, for 64 inmates in that dorm, there was about 25 cell phones. The biggest battle of the day was getting to plug your cell phone into the power outlet. Charge it. So there was free for all. There was stupid petty fights about people doing shit. There'd be a stupid petty stabbing every once in a while. It was easy, clean, smooth time. But But like, you know, you can stay in your lane or you cannot. You know, dudes you try to hang out with do some stupid shit. And you gotta make sure you keep it from your bunk. Like really stupid shit sometimes.
Yeah, what do you mean?
So, I'm not gonna say any names because you know, respect out of respect. But certain guy, he knows, you know, people kind of, you don't really talk about your charges, but like he comes up to me and he's trying to say something to me, talk about some bud shit, and I'm just like blah blah, you know, we're talking. So he tries to come over and he wants to smoke a little pinner of some bud. So, fuck it, we smoke one, it's straight. Next day, he comes over. My bunk's a good spot. It ain't over by his bunk where it's hot. You know what I'm saying? Where shit's going on. This guy's trying to smoke right next to my bunk. One of his brothers comes up to him, says something to him. They walk outside. Guy walks back in. He's leaking out of his neck. Just everywhere. I'm like, we're at fucking work camp. Like, everybody in here is going home within a year. Like, what the fuck are y'all doing here, man? Like, for real. And this is his brother. That was when I realized you gotta be really careful with who you hang with.
Is this the first time you see action like that?
I saw a guy get poked up at the Ocala place, but it was like coming in from like the cafeteria. It wasn't up close and personal. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't somebody that I lived in a dorm with for a month or two. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't somebody I sat next to and watched a football game before. You know what I'm saying? It was.
Did you yourself get into any altercations?
Yeah, I had a few. I had a couple like straight one-on-one fights. I had a situation where I got jumped by some Spanish guys, but you know, it was one of those things. I kind of I could have backed away from it, but I was in a mindset at the time. I was in a particularly nasty dorm after getting a DR. We should get back to the DR. That's really where we should go back to on this.
Okay.
So I got a bunkie in there who he's up above me. He goes to work camp. He was a pretty straight guy for a little bit. He was twitchy and he hustled too much, but he was good people. So he leaves. So they bring in this young jit. And I don't know him. It's like the first 2-3 days of filling each other out. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't really even know how to, like, communicate with each other yet. He's not sure if I'm going to fuck with him. He's going to fuck with me. They come in all fucking, like, hardcore. Boom, 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 boom. They're coming and they're raiding our dorm. And our locker area was, both of ours, in between our lockers was about 0.5 gram of pot. Okay, I don't know if it was his, I don't know if somebody tossed it up underneath there, I don't know what happened, but I ended up getting a DR for it. So I ended up spending 30 days in the box, and as part of a continued to get at you for going to the box, they send you to the kitchen dorm, which is like it's a pretty nasty dorm. That's where I started routinely seeing people get stabbed, beat the fuck up. Like, motherfuckers died in there from smoking the black. Like, that was where shit was live. And I was in there for
smoking, no way.
The black, okay? So, y'all remember the spice that we had in the streets 10 years ago and shit like that? Well, they started, like, making it super concentrated and, like, spraying it on whatever. Like, paper, like, all kinds of weird shit. So they're smoking this shit that, like, you sprinkle some grounds of, like, it looks like pepper. Like, a little bit of pepper, and these guys are flopping out, like, fishing, swimming, like, they're doing some crazy shit, like tripping out. And as you can imagine, being in a situation where there's a bunch of other people around who probably don't have your best interests in mind, being, blacked out and flopping around and causing a lot of attention towards yourself causes a lot of people to get in problems. So generally, in that dorm, the thought process was when somebody started gooking or tweaking out, was to go pop their top. So somebody would run up on them and beat their fucking ass.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
What's up, Snapchat? What's up, Facebook? What's up, Instagram? It's your boy, Big Choby, man. Listen, you tried the rest, now come taste the best. Big Choby's Barbecue and Southern Flavors. It is going down next Saturday. I will be located at the Big O Flea Market across from Publix on Highway 441 South. Come get some of the best barbecue in town, guaranteed. Listen, I'm glad to be back, y'all. It's going down every Saturday, every other Sunday. So the second and fourth Sunday and possibly the fifth Sunday of each month, we will be out there in full effect. Please come out and support your boy. Come get some of that good barbecue. You already know I got the best of everything, huh? Big Choby Barbecue and Southern Flavors, baby. And I'm out.
Man, I'm trying to get some barbecue, man. Listen, who got the best barbecue around, man? Because I really want the grills, man.
Like for me, man, I did a lot of soft time, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't want to belittle that fact and act like, you know what I'm saying? I know what time to time I did.
Yeah, no, your story is your story, bro. Your story is your story. Soft time, man, I ain't never heard of no soft time. All the time is hard
Mentally,
time.
it was terrible. But like physically, like it was like middle school with idiots.
I can see that. What did you learn while you was gone, though?
I learned a lot. But like, I think I was at a place in my life where a change was going to happen regardless when things happen. And obviously I could have made that change a lot easier on myself and a lot easier on my family. I make light of my incarceration because the reality of it is I read a lot of books. I did a few months of bad time, but most of it I tried to stay around positive people. I was a big dude, but I didn't really fuck with anybody. And like, to give you an idea, like I would read a book a day every 2 days just to not interact with people. You know what I'm saying? If you're not gambling, you're not into like the punk shit, you can really stay out of trouble and stay in your lane in there. So
as a neutron, did you have any problems?
Yeah, I had like some jits try me in the work camp, and I ended up getting into a fight with him, but he was like 140 pounds. Like, why the fuck was he trying to fight me? Like, it wasn't a fight that there was anything going. Like, it was at a work camp. When I was at the one camp in the kitchen dorm, dude gooked out on a dude's bunk. Okay, and when the dude came back in the dorm, guy who was next to him had tried to clean it up for him. Okay, and that guy was a guy I hung out with. Like, we'd share meals, you know what I'm saying? Like, we'd eat with each other every once in a while. A little dude named Shotgun, he was straight. He was decent people enough. But one of his things was he did laundry. He hustled around the dorm because he didn't get anything from his family. But he hustled hard doing laundry. So the guy didn't like the way the shit got cleaned up, and he started slapping him around. And I kind of was like, hey man, come on man, chill out man. Like, you can get your laundry fixed and don't do this at my bunk. So I go and I'm taking a shit. It's like 8, 9 o'clock at night. I'm a couple stars from the back, you know. This motherfucker runs up on me and punches me in my face 4 times. And he's such a pussy that when I stand up while taking a shit, he's got his 3 homeboys right there. So I got dusted up, I got kicked a few times, but to be honest, within a few days, it wasn't that big of a deal, and you know, for lack of a better term, they didn't fuck with me again because, you know, they didn't want to fight a dude who's going to stand up and try to fight him halfway taking a shit. I don't know what they thought was going to happen. I thought he was like, I don't know if he thought he was going to knock me out on the toilet or what he thought. But, you know, I looked stupid for a few days. I had a fat lip and some shit like that. But it was a pretty funny story to hear in the dorm a few days later. If that makes any sense.
Is that the first time you get jumped inside there?
Yeah, that was the only time. Like I said, man, I really stayed in my own lane. And, you know, there was other neutrons that were like-minded guys. And, you know, when you get to a spot where you got a couple people who are into the same shit, like into reading books and you're working out and you got a little group of dudes you work out with and you share books with and you cook with. And, you know, when I'm 6'4", 6'5", and I'm one of the smaller guys, like, people don't really fuck with you that much. But we weren't, like, clicked up. We weren't running around. Just people knew we were living good, but we weren't on that bullshit either.
Okay. So, you talked about hustling inside there. How long did it take before you decided to start getting back into the same shit on the inside?
You know, at first it sounded good, you know, a couple cigarettes here and there, but quickly, you know, very quickly, you know, shake down here, shake down there. You realize, man, I gotta hide my shit. I gotta deal with motherfuckers who I gotta fucking break bread with. You know, it really wasn't worth hustling. I realized I could just, you know, do my own thing and not worry about it so much. No. What are you really hustling for in there? Honey buns and ramen noodles. How much of that shit do you really need?
No, but I was asking how long did it take before you started hustling in there, not when you stopped. How long before you started?
Like, as soon as I got money on, you know, I was getting a radio, I was getting hygiene, like, that's part of the hustle. You're trying to win on every deal, right? I mean, I got a radio, the Sony fucking digital, for $10 on the land because I was in the right spot. Okay. You know, and then from there, you know, you can work on radios a little bit here and there and make a few bucks if you know what you're doing. You know, there's little ways to hustle that you can stay out of people's lands. Ain't nobody shaking down the radio guy because they might need a fucking radio guy. You know?
Yeah, so what's I know there's a whole lot of creative people in there. What's some of the most creative shit you've seen in there?
Man. Like, good creative or bad creative?
Give us both.
You get to see both.
Give us both.
Let me really think on this for a second, man. You know what? I'm gonna start with bad creative. So this guy, this New York guy, he'd been in there for a while. Like, I think he was coming off like 15 years. He was in the work camp. He was sewing. He was a seamstress. Didn't like being called that, but that's what he was. He was making these dudes tight pants. He was getting $20 for taking the pants and making tight jeans for people. I never seen shit like that in my life, man.
So they were wearing skinny jeans.
Yeah, they were wearing skinny jeans, like they were rocking them, man. Like they were aggressive with it. They were really skinny jeans. The most creative guys, some of the tattoo artists in there, they were really creative on the stuff they would try to do. And like the guys working out, and we got culinary experts. If you've ever been to my house, you know I like to cook. So we got real creative cooking with nothing. And then you get creative on the hustle, you know.
What kind of stuff was y'all cooking?
You know, huge nachos. You know, you learn how to do sweet and sour stir fry. Then you get into craziness when you're turning lockers into grills and doing pizzas and quesadillas.
How would you turn a locker into a grill?
All right, so you pop a locker open and you get some dude for a couple bucks. He's usually somebody who's not living too good to clean the fuck of that locker for like a whole day. That thing gets scrubbed. You get it to where the paint's coming off it. And you put about 6, 7 candles that you make out of either lard you get out of the kitchen or hair gel. You got like 6 candles and you close the lid and that's your grill, man. And you go to town.
Okay. So, what are we ordering from that canteen? Give me your top 3 items, man.
You know, you gotta have your coffee. That's a must for everybody. After coffee, I'm gonna go legitimately with the hot Cheetos and a chili ramen noodle. And you know what we're doing with that. Crushing it all up and making it work.
Okay.
That's the breakfast, dinner, and lunch of champions right there.
So, what kind of books was we reading? You said you was reading a book a day.
I had it written down. I kept a list of all the books I read. I read 721 books. I think I got halfway through and I left it to somebody because they wanted to read it. And 931 days of incarceration. So that tells you how much I read in there. Okay, so I read everything from Stephen King to historical fiction, like Con Eagledon. I read everything that I could get my hands on. I did not care. Because if I was reading something, I wasn't sitting in there dealing with, the drama and the bullshit and the stress of being in that prison cell. Or in that prison dorm. Most of my time was dorm time. Which is more freedom, but then you got more people you got to deal with.
What was some of the prices y'all was seeing inside there for some of the stuff? Like, how much was you able to sell your coffee? Because y'all sell coffee as well, right? You buy the coffee and flip that?
Yeah, like a bag of coffee costs $6. If you wanted to bust down a bag of coffee, you could probably get $14.
14. What about the trees? What I'm looking like for a blunt out there?
You ain't getting no blunt, man. Your blunts, you're gonna get a little asthma inhaler, a cap for $50.
For $50?
The only thing you're gonna do in there off of weed is one time, every 6 months, you can spend $20 and almost get high. But you're not gonna constantly get high in there. You're just gonna make yourself so you're gonna fail piss test. When you're at work camp and you're trying to go to work release, they're going to piss test you, so you don't fuck around with that. And that's why guys get into that spice and that shit, because they can't test for that. And that's really what the problem is.
Through all these camps, was there a lot of gangs?
Yeah, there was all kinds of gangs. You had clicked up white guys. You had the more direct gangs. You had the Odinists. You had lots of Bloods. You had, I was up there towards Pensacola, so you had some Pensacola gang up there. They ran pretty deep. But, it's a camp, in Florida. I would say at that point the Bloods probably had most of the action.
Okay. So I had one of the other guys on here tell me about a gang called OK. You ever heard of that? The OK gang?
No.
Okay.
No.
I wanted to know if that was what I mean.
No, man, there's so many names, you got, they're the one gang up there, they were calling themselves the 300 or the 200, and, they had a 200 or a 300, they were getting it tattooed on their face.
No, but the OK gang is it's a nice way to say this. Homosexual gang. That's supposed to be running through the prisons.
Here's the way I would tell you is there's a lot of punks in the chain gang. Okay, but I don't know how things are now, but a couple years ago when I was there, it wasn't openly accepted. You'd get run the fuck off for that shit. People had shit going on, but it wasn't out there and people doing shit like that. So, and generally when there was something crazy, somebody getting raped, it was over somebody owing somebody money, somebody kept feeding somebody until they got them in a spot they wanted them, or it was some weird gang shit. There ain't nowhere, if you want to tell somebody, I got power over you in the chain gang, beating them up and doing that to them definitely would change them, I would imagine.
I bet.
So, but it was, I think, in the chain gang, probably of the 2 years of my time that I was actually in the chain gang, I think like 2 or 3 times that came up. In a dorm or in a dorm next to the dorm we were in or something like that.
Shit, so
I mean, we had dudes running around there with and like they definitely had people looking for their services.
I could imagine that funny stuff. It was just odd to me to hear that there was a gang of them and they were putting in work when they were getting busy. That was the thing. But
Listen, I mean, that's what I would say is in any situation, if you have a group of people with the same interests or the same background, and they think it'll benefit them to click up, they're gonna. And that's a situation where clicking up, if you're looking to do certain things, it gives you definitely an advantage.
what was the COs like? Did the COs show you any favoritism since you white?
No, I don't know how to touch this subject without saying something that I don't intend to, but I'm gonna be me and try to say it the best way I can. Growing up in the South, you see where, and this is growing up, especially in Lake Worth and stuff, where there was another part of town, there was a lot of separatism still, not so much nowadays, but still definitely there is some. In the chain gang, kind of the roles were reversed. It seemed almost like the black inmates got more favoritism, but a lot of them ran more of the action. And then when you get there for a while, you start to notice that some of the upper tier white guys who got money coming in or from the area, whose families are from the area, they really have a lot more power than you'd think. But I don't think I got any favoritism from any CO ever. I got treated like a real piece of shit the whole time, by pretty much any and every. I thought they bring you in and they break you down, and I expected that. I thought they would try to build you up some, but they just break you down.
Did they offer you any kind of programs?
No.
Something that helped you after prison?
Dude, I was only and that's kind of one of the things, my incarceration, I'm very thankful that it was a short one. But with me being there short, I wasn't really eligible for any kind of medical, any kind of programs, for anything. I wasn't there long enough to see a dentist. I wasn't there long enough to see the eye doctor. I wasn't there long enough to get put in any program. All they basically they used me for free labor. I did some AC work for them. I did some kitchen work, and I did some, landscaping and yard maintenance. Actually, there's a very awkward situation that I actually forgot about until I just kind of was reminded of it. So when I'm in the kitchen dorm, it's 64 guys in there. And a lot of them, I find out pretty quickly, are chomos, predators. However you want to look at it, And in the chain gang, whether it's a young child or some dude with a seat, they're all chomos in the chain gang. So the OK gang thing, that's what reminded me of it. So they were kind of clicked up a little bit. And by clicked up, they weren't running around hanging out, but you couldn't just, in other dorms, they would go and take everything from a chomo and run them out and put them on the glass. So basically, all their property would get lost, they'd get run off, and they'd have to go start again. That was just the way it happened. So I'm in the kitchen washing pots and pans because I've pissed off a CO by cussing somebody out. So I'm on pot and pan duty on chicken night, which is the worst fucking thing ever. I got 1,400 inmates worth of chicken pans to clean. So this guy comes over, he's this old guy, and he's helping me clean them. Because he's done in his area. And like, there's a lot of chicken pans, and he's worked in the kitchen with me before. Like, I don't notice what's going on. He's helping me clean them for like an hour. We get back to the dorm. It's after last count. We finally get to get in the shower. There's 8 fucking shower stalls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This guy is like 60 years old. Old white guy. Like, seemed like he has some real mental health issues. Like, he was not all there. I'm in stall 8. And this motherfucker comes over in stall 7. So this is the only fight in the chain gang I threw the first punch in. So this guy, I'm like, dude, what the fuck? And I look down and he's ready. So like the initial reaction was I hit him like as fucking hard as I could out of sheer shock. And he hits the ground and he's like, he's not all there, so
what
like...
What you mean ready? Ready to fight? Ready for... He's ready...
Full on baby arm holding a biscuit. I was like, oh my God. I was like, this ain't nothing being tough. Like, I was scared. I'm butt ass naked. Just steaming hot. Like, it's so hot you can't even stay in that bitch. You're trying to get out of there like, why does this guy have time? Why is this guy trying me? I hit this motherfucker and I grabbed my towel and I didn't even grab my clothes. So I just got a little pair of flip-flops and this towel about this big and I run past the guard station. That was my mistake because then like the guards knew what was up. So I get over there, my homeboy shotgun, he walks over there, he's like, he's out, dude, you're good. He grabs my shit. I'm getting dressed right there in front of my bunk, in front of the whole dorm. I'm not going back in there. Fuck that guy. Officer comes out. This guy's in here fucking crying in the shower now. Trotter, what the fuck happened? Man, I don't know. Come on, man. Don't put me in that spot, man. What happened? Man, listen. He was aggressive.
He's aggressive.
So they actually, that guy, they put him in like the next dorm. Like it was same part of the dorm. Like we still left and went out, but he was in the next dorm, so he wasn't in there, but they moved him next.
What did you learn about yourself while you was gone?
You know, from getting incarcerated, I learned that you can destroy what you build a lot faster than you can build it. You know, you really can. And when you are incarcerated, if you're fortunate enough to have a good family, it really, really affects your family in ways that if you haven't been incarcerated yet and you're watching this and you're doing anything, like, it's not just you. Like, you really think about, make sure if you're out there hustling, you're making it enough. Don't be out there bullshitting. And you really shouldn't be out there anyways. Because most of y'all ain't that smart. Based on the people I met in the chain gang, most of us are not that smart. I learned when I went to work camp, I got into an environment where I was working at a fast-paced restaurant 6 days a week because they'd let me, and that meant one less day I was in prison. Go back to basically a prison hotel. The COs were the shittiest there. They treated us the most like shit of any COs because they all knew we were about to go home and nobody would fucking do anything to them. It's fucking crazy. The worst I got treated by the police was at the softest, and they were taking 70% of our pay. So basically, my family put about $800 towards a bicycle, clothes, a phone, whatever. And when I walked out of work release, I think I had about $1,000. And I was there for 6 months, working 6 days a week.
Yeah. All right, so is there anything you want to say before you sign us up?
If you are somebody coming out of prison, have a plan. Figure out a way that you can provide for yourself and get a type of life that you're going to be comfortable with that's going to keep you from getting your ass put back in there. Because there's a lot of stress and a lot of pressure when you come out, especially for people who didn't feel like, you know, they were built for being there, felt like they were meant to do something else. So put a lot of pressure on yourself, but make realistic goals. And fucking come out and fucking work really hard and get your shit together.